The time is 6:59. Today is Monday, July 11th, 2022. I call this meeting to order. If everybody would please stand and we can have Pastor Ken Wood from the Avenue Church up and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Would you join me in prayer? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather in our great free country and participate in its governance. And Lord, I want to lift up this council to you. Lord, as elected officials, they serve our city. They do not lord over our city, but God, they are here. They're applying their wisdom and their judgment and their time and their energy to make the best choices for our city, for its citizens, and for the good of all that live here. So God, we pray for them. We pray that you would give them wisdom and discernment and discretion. Father, we also want to lift up others in our city who may be in harm's way. Lord, we lift up the many police officers that are serving. God, we pray for protection over them as they have been in many dangerous incidents recently. So God, we pray for each and every one of them. We also want to lift up a forgotten segment of our law enforcement here locally, God, and that is our park rangers out at our lake. And God, I pray for a special grace for them as they have dealt with so many deaths on our lake this summer. So God, we pray not only for them to give them the fortitude and the grace to deal with those situations, we also pray for the family members of those who have lost loved ones as they are enjoying recreation. And God, we pray for the protection of life, Lord, not only on our lake, but on our streets and all around our city. So God, we want to lift these requests to you and ask for your favor and your blessing in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call.
Larry Atencio. Here. Dennis Flores.
Here.
Heather Graham.
Here.
Regina Mastry. Sarah Martinez.
Here.
Vicente Martinez Ortega.
Here.
Laurie Winter.
Here. Okay, no special recognitions. We're going to go straight into public forum, and we have Miss Aubrey Adams up first.
Hi, Council. I just really wanted to come introduce myself. My name is Aubrey Adams. I'm a former Pueblo, Colorado mom. I own 2 homes on Elizabeth Street, and I absolutely loved living here and all the details that come with it, with the beautiful hikes, and loved the school my kids went to. And then the legalization of marijuana came to town, and it destroyed my family. I have 2 family members that are harmed and will never be the same from it. They became addicted and psychotic, and we lived in crisis for many years here. After one of my family's 4th hospitalization, we decided that I would not finish raising the children here in Pueblo. I had volunteered my family for crisis intervention with the Department of Social Services because there's no treatment. And legal marijuana is now more dangerous. It's an industrialized product. It's more addictive. It's more accessible. It's more life-threatening, and it can change a brain forever. And I have information on that here today. So I'm here to introduce who I am. I'm back in Pueblo. I got my last son through high school in Houston, Texas. I moved to ground zero of the youth recovery movement, Houston, Texas. I call Pueblo, Colorado ground zero for the marijuana expansion movement. I do presentations all over the country. I've spoken to the FDA. I've spoken to many legislators, and I will continue to do so. I will be walking the halls of Congress this September. Where I was like a lone voice in this back in 2015 and 2016, I am now connected with thousands of families harmed. We have children hanging themselves in their bedrooms. We have husbands out of control because they can't imagine their emotions, and they're paranoid. They think somebody's after them. This is the causal factor of marijuana. Pueblo made a big mistake by legalizing this. But here, the world is watching. and I'm connected with people from all over the world, and we can start making better decisions here. We can be heroes here and say, we've made a mistake. I'm not saying to make it illegal again. What I'm saying is we need more regulations. We need more education, and I can help you with that. I can provide all the education. I have an organization called Every Brain Matters now. And I just want to read this one study to you. It says of all the drugs that can induce psychosis, cannabis results in the highest conversion rate from a temporary psychotic symptoms to a chronic psychotic disorders like schizophrenia and bipolar. Even over meth, it's a 47% conversion rate. Meth is 32%. This study is from low potency marijuana, meaning products that have less than 10 milligrams of THC in it. That is unheard of. The products on the market now through the legal industry are very concentrated, very high potent products. I was part of HB 1317 passed at the state level. I worked behind the scenes providing education to them. I went and I testified with hundreds of other families, and we got that bill passed. It was an act of God because the industry has so much power. And I will continue speaking up, and I will continue mentoring families from around the country so we can wake this country up. Marijuana is connected with violence because people who experience psychosis, they're suffering, and they think people are after them, and they get really radical ideas. Not all of them, but some of them. The ones that do have violence, and I've been the victim of some of that. It's awful. So we've got to wake up. Even the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal is now showing the connection between marijuana and violence. So I have a lot to share with you. I will continue to come and speak when I can. I would like to do presentations while I'm here, temporary living in Pueblo. I am broke. I'm broke. I lost everything. But, you know, that's the price a lot of people are paying. There's no resources here in Pueblo. Also, how Al-Anon is for
Ms.
family.
Adams, your time is up. If you did have some information, you could pass it out to us, and then we can have some time to look over it.
Okay, thank you. Can I approach you with this information? Or
Yep, you can hand it to this gentleman right here at the end, and he will pass it along to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Martinez.
I have a bit longer speech than last time. So what I want to talk about is the future mayoral elections. I know that you guys could have the power, instead of doing the 50% plus one vote, because it's going to be impossible when 10, 12, 14, 16 people run for mayor, even 2024 or 2028 or whenever, for one individual to get 50% plus one vote. That is impossible. So you guys could draft something up to pass, because to my knowledge, and I'm not picking on any council member right here or in the past, to my knowledge, nobody has ever been elected by 50% of the electors plus one vote. So make it even with city council to the mayor. And that's on that part right there. And then I was approached by someone that I know, if this could be possible, I don't know who would be in charge of this. But when you guys vote, because not everybody watches the meetings, for example, R1, say if it's a 5-2 vote, say these people vote yes on this for yes, and two other council members vote no, just put that on the city webpage or something, or somehow public, so people could just go through it, R1, R2, R3, and so on and so forth. If that has to be a draft of a resolution, or just with the city office or with the mayor's office, however that would go about right there, if that could be put up somehow. And then lastly, this past Wednesday on the 6th, Pueblo lost a great person and an Army veteran. He also was a city bus driver for many years. He died at the age of 80, and he is Mr. Albert Acosta, and his funeral service is tomorrow at 11 at Angela's. And I've known him for about 5.5 years. He was a good guy. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Martinez. Mr. Jim Majak.
Folks all doing? I got new information for you guys I'd like to present. I came up with a cigarette patent when I was 19 years old. Paid for. By check with $372 to CFNI Prior Credit Union. Okay, part B of this patent that I paid for another $100 that was on my credit card. Gene Sloan approved me for a loan for $15 million and Rick Johnson for what was called a camera stick. Basically, in this book here, I'm not worried about my old inventions. Basically, I want to move forward on some new inventions. I got new inventions for food items for the city of Pueblo. I've already had a meeting with James and John Walden at Cheryl Wingard's house up in Large. I know the territory director for Walmart for the state of Colorado. I know the territory director for Lowe's for the state of Colorado. I know the distribution center for Wyoming for the southern, southeast, or southwestern part of the United States. All this stuff about JJ and Truman and Jim John Major and all this slander stuff that I've got to go through my kids. The Walden family has agreed to drop their lawsuit to help us get these food pans in there. And I'm asking for help to collect on some money from a lawsuit from iHeartRadio to take all this and start all this. These inventions that I got that I'm patenting, one of them is called a major box from working with a company called For Sale by Inventors out of Pennsylvania. I didn't have enough money to get all the copies and documentations that I needed. I'll let this gentleman over here kind of take a look at the metal box that you set on your front porch. Once it's open, you cannot close it. You cannot open it again. Only the homeowner can. The Shark Tank's already turned everybody down on their inventions because they're all done by cell phones to open and lock it. My locking mechanism is different than everybody else's. I don't want investors. If I collect the money from iHeartRadio on signing a contract and continuing on this JJ thing, well, instead of leaving it as JJ, because the way it started from Vegas from the Flamingo Lounge, we call it Cleaning Up Colorado. And after 4 years from Cleaning Up Colorado, we clean up the United States. I'm asking for a $64 billion contract from iHeartRadio. They can return collection of Disney family, all the TV and everybody else. Okay. I know you think 64 billion is a lot of money. But if you think about it, iHeartRadio makes $14 billion in 1 year profit. The Disney Corporation makes $22 billion profit in 1 year. Okay, this is a 2022 or 2019 revenue. Okay, all this stuff you can find online. So the 64 billion I'm asking is not for much. I'm asking for 14 billion to sign a contract with them. Okay, to continue this whole JD thing, we'll call it Cleaning Up Colorado. We'll see if we'll land at the Beulah National Park. We had 25,000 acres up there. Some of you guys are old enough to probably remember the Jim John Major Skater Boy, the Jim John Major Just Your Girlfriend thing. All that was supposed to be to meet the celebrities to buy into these pans that were poor man patented 23 years ago. So I'm not real knowledgeable of the city the way it is anymore because for one, I'm divorced now, but I was a great grandfather. I had 3 of the most beautiful great grandkids in the whole wide world. More things happen to them, but I'm letting the bygones be bygones. And let's just start fresh. Let's start working forward on this stuff to make this stuff good for everybody, for the city of Pueblo, for the focus back on the good things. Like everybody's moving to Springs and Denver. They're selling their $10 and $12 million condos up there. And they're moving to Springs and Denver. Everybody's saying, why they're not moving to Pueblo? If I get these factories up and going on these new inventions, we'll get us a good hospital with good surgeons here. Then there's good surgeons that say, hey, honey, while we're here, you can run a factory. You can be a supervisor. You can be on the board of this factory. The CFNI was taken over by the United States government because of Russia and stuff like that. They're now doing this blast furnace. I'll take the first $2.5 billion and I'll give it to the government for the CFNI. The rest I'll start taking into building the 8th wonder of the world, or the world's largest. Never ever get a sunburn theme park and water park, amusement park at Beulah. If we can't get it approved at Beulah, we'll set up at Ellicott in Colorado Springs. The highway that runs through back towards the federal prison runs right into Beulah. We can make this all happen. I've got the scars and injury from people trying to kill me through all this stuff through iHeart to prove all this. I have all the documentation. Everybody knows who my real father was. He was James John Walden to Minka's Bakery. I don't know if you guys know about Minka's Bakery on Northern by Circle Lounge. My mom did have an affair. I waited till she passed away. She asked me to wait till 180 days after she passed away. She passed away November 29th of last year, November 26th. She didn't want nobody to know she had an affair with me. My birth certificate does say that guy's name. That's my connection with the Disney family. We can't fix this and flip this and make this good for everybody. Can I get some help from the city on this? So I'm asking some help. Make this work good for everybody. I don't know how I'm getting used to all this. I used to be good at elevator pitching. The whole name JJ came from the Flamingo Lounge. My first wife, Stephanie Creasy, can testify. When we checked out there, they had a notary public, 2 witnesses, and a lawyer. How many people had checked out of a hotel and had to sign a contract right there when you walked out of a hotel? I'm good at what I do. I'm a damn good inventor. And I'm smart at business. And I need some help now, folks. I really do. You say.
Thank you, Mr. Majak. Actually, at this point, we don't comment back to you.
Okay, so what do I, is there another meeting I can come to, maybe find the results or something like that? I'll give you my phone number, but this could really work good, I'm telling you guys.
After we're done with the public forum, we do have council member and mayor commentary, and you might get one of the counselors to comment back to your presentation today.
Good. Thank you very much.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm a little
Yep,
nervous.
you're good.
Been a while.
You're good. Thank you, sir. Okay, next up, we have Michael Hazel.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for your time tonight. Pastor Wood opened with a prayer, including an intercessory request for safety in our streets. God helps those who help themselves, and that is why I am here tonight to ask you to consider some help to the cyclists of our city of Pueblo. So as we all know, the Union and Main Avenue Master Plan has been completed. However, the completion of that was conducted during the early days of the COVID pandemic. Public comment was therefore constrained as a result of no ability to meet in person. The contracting firm only collected 90-ish public comments. Recently, a group of cyclists concerned here in the city of Pueblo about the potential removal of bike lanes on Union Avenue has reached out and collected 200 signatures and comments from those in the community and a much wider spread of demographics as well. So what I would like to do is share a few of those comments, just a selection tonight, and then my colleague Sam Chambers here will subsequently share with you some proposed revisions to the Union Avenue Master Plan, in particular to maintain the bike lanes on Union Avenue. I use these multiple times per week to commute to work and leisure activities. Removing them in favor of only lanes on Main Street as per the master plan limits usability as there is no connectivity currently or planned once you hit Abriendo. Where do bikes go at the top of the hill? At least on Union, you can proceed straight across Abriendo into Mesa Junction on Colorado Avenue, which is lower and slower traffic and has wide lanes suitable for shared bike and vehicle traffic. Low income and highly vulnerable people, including the dishwasher at the Gold Bust, a barista at Grindhouse, and the dishwasher at Angelo's, use these existing lanes for transportation. I enjoy the bike lanes of Pueblo, as do many other cyclists here. I also own a vehicle and drive beside these lanes. There is plenty of room on the road for both bikes and cars. Having bike lanes adds to our city's ambiance, so please do not take them away. I ride my bike almost every day to work during the spring and summer and fall months. This greatly frees up parking for others. I feel so much safer in a bike lane than I do on the shoulder. If you remove these bike lanes, you risk riders moving to the safety of the sidewalk, which endangers pedestrians. You not only move bikes there, but also the scooters, which now frequent downtown Pueblo. Drivers in our community struggle to acknowledge the presence of and rights of cyclists when driving in the city. Our community does not yet have the critical mass of cyclists required for cyclists of all abilities to safely and confidently take the lane, as would be required by the proposed design. The existence of bike lanes will contribute to cyclist safety and confidence and support drivers in understanding where to expect cyclists in the road. Bike lanes and a slightly narrower sidewalk will make the entire area more enjoyable and safer for pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists. I commute by bicycle on Union Avenue every day from my home in Aberdeen to the east side to my job as a physician with Pueblo Community Health Center. I have used these lanes for the past 15 years. Removing these lanes would make biking there less safe and indicate that the city of Pueblo is not helping in the move toward less polluting forms of travel and would suggest that the health of its citizens is not important to the city. I am extremely intimidated by autos on the road. I know they do not want to go slower because I'm in front of them, nor wait for me to get going when it's a green light. A bike lane gives me the comfort of a place that tells autos, this is bike space, not yours. If there is no bike lane, our family outings of us parents and our kids to Union Avenue for a treat at the coffee shop will stop. As a realtor, bike lanes are important to people moving to our community. Please keep the bike lanes. Our streets and sidewalks need to support and allow access to all members of the community and reflect the transportation use of all individuals. Encouraging pedestrian, bike, and scooter modes of transport reflects a vibrant and healthy Pueblo. Bike lanes are incredibly important in the city. Most drivers in Pueblo do not know or understand driving or cycling law and disregard cycling safety. These bike lanes provide much needed safety to the cyclists in town, allowing them to commute and leisure ride and act as a bridge between the west and east and north and south sides of the city. I use these bike lanes every day to commute to work. It really makes a difference in my peace of mind while on the road to have a bike lane rather than being in the same lane as traffic. So in conclusion, I and many other citizens of Pueblo ask that you please consider the amendment to the Union Avenue Master Plan that Mr. Chambers will present next. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Hazel. Mr. Chambers, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Chambers. I'm a local area bicycle mechanic. My day job, I work downtown for Volunteers of America as a caseworker helping homeless veterans. And I'm also the founder, along with Mr. Hazel here, of the Green Chili Bike Bank. And we have restored approaching 600 bicycles for folks that are homeless and that need transportation, right? I think that it's kind of it's a bad idea to remove the bike lanes from Union Avenue for all the reasons that he said. I think that if you put in a 20-foot sidewalk with no bike lane, you will end up with bikes on the sidewalk, and our security folks are going to be telling them to dismount all the time. And to kind of bring it into focus, I kind of just want to give a little demonstration here, Michael. All right, so this is the sidewalk without the bike lanes. And this is the sidewalk with the bike lanes. I think you can see there's plenty of room for everybody's aunties, uncles, families to walk side by side, crowds, etc. Plenty of room for everybody, and keep the bike lanes. The bike lanes, the wheelchairs, the scooters, and all that can be, in the bike lanes. To kind of finish this one up. Earlier this year, when we started the Cruising Pueblo community rides, we on our Facebook page, let's see here, we put about 50 pictures a day for 12 days of, just different people that ride bikes in Pueblo. So that was, approximately 600 people. Here's just a few of them. Melissa here is a local artist. Kim Arline is a pharmacist. Kelly here is a fireman. We have this guy works at Access Point Needle Exchange, James, a realtor, Mr. Daniel Muldoon, local area business owner, formerly homeless, him and his dog, works at the sheriff's department. As you can see, we've got everybody from every culture and every demographic. We got kids, we got homeless people. Here's a lawyer. Here's somebody that's just ordained as a minister. When we talk about this thing, I think you see my face a lot, and I think you see Kim's face a lot. And I think that it's really easy to say, well, this is just a small group of people, but it's not. It really isn't. There's a whole subculture of folks that ride bikes. I mean, I can show you 600 of them right now, and that doesn't even include the 600 bikes that we finished for homeless people. So I really do think it is a worthy cause to rethink that and to retain those bike lanes there. Don't get us wrong. We don't want the cars to go away. I want the businesses to stay there. We want to be able to ride our bikes down there and, drink margaritas at those bars and enjoy the city on bikes. It's just like we always have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. And that concludes our public forum. Ms. Solano, do you have anything from the mayor?
Madam President, I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Flores, do you want to start us off?
Just a couple of things. Number one, I wanted to congratulate Councilor Larry Atencio. He's been on the board of the Colorado Municipal League as a representative for the state of Colorado, representing Pueblo, and he just got reelected. So I wanted to congratulate you publicly. That's a great connection to CML. I did attend an event last week involving the Pueblo Fire Department. They pinned 4 new fire officers, firemen, and there was several promotions. And it was a really great event. It just showed the seriousness of the people that they've trained and the seriousness of that department and how important it is to the city. But for the people that ran that and to our chief, Barbie Huber, I wanted to recognize that they did an amazing job, and you guys continue to have, I think, one of the best fire departments in the state of Colorado. So thank you for that. At our last meeting, we had kind of honored a gentleman named Scott Richards that had put together He would sacrifice his Mondays, but he was the gentleman that made it possible for our city council meetings to be on Channel 17. And so the public could watch this during our televised meetings. And he unfortunately passed away, but I do want to follow up on the fact that I do want the city of Pueblo to contribute $2,000 to his scholarship fund that will be started on his behalf at PCC. And I also would like to name, I don't know what you call that room back there, the video room or the broadcast room. I'd like to have his name on that room. He basically lived in there and never got the accolades because he was always behind that door, but he's the one that really made it happening. And when you talk about transparency in government, he made it possible. And he not only did that for us, but he was a terrific gentleman. He worked at PCC for a number of years, but I want to make sure that I can follow up on that and that we actually get this done. Thank you.
Counselor Maestri.
I'm seeing social media, people coming up to us in public. We get emails about it all the time as far as the crime in this city. They don't truly understand that it's out of our hands because of state legislation. So I would like to just continue to stress to the public that this is an important election in November for 2022. And in order to change what we're experiencing here, we need to vote our values in 2022. That's number one. Number two, I'd like to see if we can get Miss Aubrey Adams into a work session. That would be nice. You know, we have a lot of marijuana issues coming in front of us, such as consumption lounges. We have somebody wanting to remove the excise tax for the marijuana. And, you know, that's what sold citizens into voting for the legalization of marijuana. Some of them was that we were going to receive all this tax money, and now they're wanting to, we have a business owner that would like to take it to zero. And that doesn't serve our community, because what has happened is, you know, we've been the guinea pig. We're not the leaders of the legalization of marijuana. We're just the guinea pig. We started out legalizing marijuana, and we have several issues that have arisen from that. And especially when it affects our children. I just listened to a candidate for governor expressing that the statistic for teen suicide is the highest it's ever been in Colorado, or child suicide has been the highest it's ever. I don't know if there's a relationship, but I'd like to learn as a community member. I'd like to learn what the effects are. You know, a lot of people want to talk about the trash and the homelessness, and does that all work together? I think we should start looking at maybe the results of legalizing marijuana before we continue to push the agenda, such as relieving the excise tax and adding now consumption lounges to our community. Thank you.
Counselor Tencio.
Well, Dennis stole my thunder. I was going to brag that I got reelected to CML, but seriously, being on the board of CML is a great resource to not only my colleagues here on the dais and city government, but it's also a resource to people out in our community. I have the ability to lobby state legislators on state legislation. I would like input from the community as to what the community would like in terms of the type of legislation that happens at the state level. I also, through CML, I have a voice in that if the people of Pueblo like a certain piece of legislation or do not like a certain piece of legislation, then my voice on that board would, I could ask that board to either help or not help in terms of state legislation. A lot of times CML gets legislation before it's even introduced, and we will either approve or not approve on it. But seriously, if anybody has any concerns in terms of state legislation, I'm the person to call because I have a voice at the state level in terms of that particular thing. And then on another thing, on the bike situation, I was advocating for bike lanes before we got our very first bike lane way back when. I'm with you in terms, if we could put bike lanes on every single street in the city, I'm advocating for it every single day. I've been asking for a bike lane on Troy Avenue from down on 4th Street all the way up to the university over the last 2 years and haven't gotten one yet. Hopefully I'll get one now. But my point is that I'm with you on bike lanes because I saw in other cities that I visited long before we had bike lanes here that how valuable they were and there's a need for them. So I'm with you all the way. And in terms of Union Avenue, I think we can meet an agreement in terms of what is needed down there. I was part of, because it is in my district, I was part of the conversations from the very beginning. And I was told that the traffic was going to be reduced to, in terms of speed, to the point where bikes and traffic could commingle on the street together. If we reduce that down to 10 miles an hour, I didn't see a problem. But again, I advocate for bike lanes. That's my first priority is bike lanes. But I think we could come to an agreement in terms of, and you're right. How many feet did you take away from that 20 foot? 5 feet. I think it's doable, you know, and we could still keep our bike lanes. Another thing, I don't know if you're a part of that criterium, that bike race. It's important that we keep that. We need that in the center of the city. So the design of Union Avenue has to accommodate that also. I don't know where we're at in terms of the design. We're going to have to talk to those people in the city, probably Public Works and others. But I think we could come to an agreement as to what to do and make it available for everyone. That's all I have.
Councilor Martinez.
So I have actually planned a work session around the Union and Main Street Master Plan design in the next coming of months. So definitely be looking for that for our schedule in the next coming months. In terms of what's happening, I have two, I guess, updates. I was contacted by a couple of people who live in my district about the extreme speed racing, like the nightly speed racing along Northern. It seems to be a really major thoroughfare for car racing, kind of in between Prairie and like the Boulevard. And so I did put that on the mayor's office radar. We're working right now actually to do a couple of different, both public safety precautions and just kind of in general, see what we can do as a city to lower that specifically in the nighttime. And I know that briefly maybe there was a petition going around. So it's on the mayor's radar. I'm working on it. I wanted to update all of you that hopefully in the next couple of months, specifically before the state fair, we see a reduction in street racing through that thoroughfare. As mentioned earlier in council comments, we've also been receiving a lot of both public comment and emails around the homelessness situation. So this morning, myself as the chair of the Homeless Commission actually met with the mayor's office and several other homeless agencies, nonprofits in our community, including BASADA, the Rescue Mission. Our own housing director was a part of that meeting as well, just to really talk about what can we do right now to put some solutions in place regarding the homeless issue. I think there was a lot of conversation in our meeting regarding mental health as being kind of that root cause of maybe more aggressive people who are experiencing homelessness. So we're thinking about mental health. We also talked a lot about hand up Pueblo versus hand out Pueblo. So we're getting some campaign materials right now from the Commission on Housing and Homelessness to really promote if you're going to be giving and you really value giving to the homeless, why don't you give it to existing nonprofits as opposed to, people on the street or anything like that? So we are talking about that. Council will be looking forward to those campaign materials here shortly. It sounds like maybe we're going to fund them through ARPA possibly. And then of course the temporary warming shelter. I feel like each year we kind of piecemeal something to use for the temporary warming shelter. So the Commission on Housing and Homelessness that I chair will start really looking at what kind of solutions we can put into place for the temporary warming shelter. And then lastly, interestingly enough, a lot of homeless, I didn't know this, but kind of camp out in the stormwater drain pipes. And so we're going to be looking at what other communities are doing to mitigate that. So that's all.
Thank you. Councilor Martinez Ortega.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to congratulate Councilor Atencio with an invitation for a Colorado Municipal League workshop, so we can understand how the Colorado Municipal League helps us, helps Pueblo, how we benefit from all that. And I'd like to piggyback on Councilor Maistri's comments about crime, trash, and homelessness, and how we all know that that's signs of poverty, and how that is really great for opportunities for economic development or access to care. And with access to care, Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, there is a District 60 lunch program that happens at Ray Aguilera Bessemer Park every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for this summer. Also, Books in the Park will be there. Sometimes Fire Fit kids are there. Other Catholic charities folks are there. And also Zumba is back. And this is on Mondays between 6 and 7, right behind the main Rawlings Library. Tuesdays between 6 and 7, you can do Zumba, and all of this is free or donation-based services at the Saragossa Hall. You can go paint rocks with kids on Friday at Bessemer, Ray Aguilera Bessemer Park from 11 to 12, and any other fun activities for folks to go do and have more access to some of the different services that are available. Please feel free to let me know. Lastly, the NAACP Mary Jean Neal Grill and Cookout will be happening this Saturday, July 16th. And that's the NAACP. It'll grill and cookout. That'll be at the City Park at 800 Goodnight Ave between 12 noon and 4 p.m. I've been going to multiple of those barbecue and grill or cookouts over the last few years. They're phenomenal. Great job to the NAACP with all the hard work that you do in this community. And they would like to tell you all thank you for supporting them with a free barbecue. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Winter.
Yeah, thank you. I would just like to piggyback on what everybody else kind of just talked about as far as violence and some of the homeless issues. I think it's important that we do focus on crime in the city. There's a lot of gunfire in the evenings as well that I'm told by citizens that they call that in. And actually one was over in the Bessemer area not too long ago where citizens were calling in over gunfire at a certain address. And they were told by the police department that they didn't have enough staff to respond to it until there was actually an injury involved, and then there was response. So I don't know. Seems to be gunfire every night. There's a lot of violence in the city, and as far as homelessness, there's a big difference between poverty and people that are off-gridders. And, Councilor Martinez mentioned mental illness. It's become almost so common now that we look at mental illness as a lifestyle choice instead of trying to get these people some help. And I really would like to see some focus on that. I don't know if I could come to your next meeting and maybe we could talk about that, Sarah, but it's definitely not a lifestyle choice. And a lot of people seem to think it is. There really are some mental health issues going on there and a lot of off-gridders. So there's a big difference between those two groups and folks looking at poverty. So there's a whole range of issues going on with the homeless. Also, Councillor Maestri had mentioned in a previous meeting that we'd like $1 million on the budget for professional cleanup of some of these homeless camps. I used to volunteer for 2 years. I was in a volunteer group with Nathaniel Evans when he was in charge of the cleanups with Parks and Rec. And we've probably had over 100 individuals that would go down and clean up those camps. And these are not family-friendly cleanups by any means. I mean, this isn't Friends of the Fountain that go down and clean up along the bike path. This is hardcore cleanup. And, she's right. I mean, I've been down there. I've cleaned these up. I used to go down once or twice a week for 2 years. I volunteered on cleaning up these homeless camps, and they are really quite dangerous for your health. So I do think that we need a professional company that can come in and clean up. I mean, you're looking at feces, you're looking at needles, you're looking at rodents, just layer upon layer upon layer of trash. I mean, it's really unbelievable what goes on in these areas. The last camp I was involved in had something like 57 tents. And I know that was in 2017, and I know they're larger than that now. So I would like to bring an ordinance forward for that, Laura, if that's possible. I think that we can probably run it through either code enforcement or through Public Works Department. And I would also like to request that City Council see that particular drone footage of the homeless camps. I don't know why we haven't seen that, but we have it. And I don't know if I need to request it or if I need to fill out a Cora request to look at it. But really, every council member should be able to see that. Every citizen should be able to see that. So Laura, can we make arrangements to see the footage of that drone footage on the homeless camps?
She's replying yes, Councilor Winter.
All right. And then also an ordinance as far as $1 million toward professional cleanup. I mean, really, you should have professionals in there that are, in hazmat suits.
She's shaking her head yes to that as
Okay.
well. Do we need a motion for that or?
No, just any counselor has the right to bring an ordinance forward. So we can bring it forward and have a discussion then.
Anything else, Councilor Winter?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I just have a couple things. To the biking community, I went to the meeting at the Lamb Ranch Library, and I think, I just want to be clear that the intent of the city and that the intent of the master plan isn't to do away with bike lanes. It's to move it to Main Street. And I want the community to know that we're not trying to just get rid of the bike lanes altogether. And with you showing your tape measure, maybe we can come to some compromise there. But I mean, we love our biking community, and I don't want you to think we're just throwing you guys to the curb, a different curb. Well, I don't know if we are, but you guys are important. You're important to us, to the city, to the community. And so I look forward to having you come and speak at our work session, because I don't think the entire council got to see the presentation that was provided. I think it's got pushed forward a few times. But I do want, to make it clear that it's not the city's intent to just do away with the bike lanes, because they are important. That's why we are trying to move them to Main. But if we can come, to some compromise to keep them where we are and just be smaller, I think the Union Avenue, I like to call it beautification process that they're going to try to do in there with, increasing the patio sizes for businesses. I'm a restaurant owner, so it's always, important to me to have that extra outdoor seating, to make Union really a place to drive more business and more people to come. And I don't want to kick out the biking community to do so, but I think it's important that we try to work together to come up with a compromise. So I do look forward to seeing you guys at that work session. And also I would like to congratulate Councilor Tencio on his appointment. And with your CML trips and all your conferences that you go to, I hope that you can be providing a monthly update to us what CML is up to, because I think that's important. I know we get the emails, but I know we don't all read them. And so if we had some firsthand knowledge coming from the president,
Then what's it?
that might be helpful. So you can,
What's a month going to do if you don't read the emails?
you can summarize for us and tell us what's important. Okay, thank you. And then also, I've also got tons of calls and emails about the crime. Pueblo is suffering. Our community is suffering with crime right now. And our police department is suffering. We're down so many officers, and we're really trying to hire and run academies to get people out on the streets. But I think it's important that we as citizens do our part, just as simple as locking your car door, locking your house, really watching out when you're out and about in the town, and, trying to stay safe out there so our officers can respond to big problems, and we can work on the little problems ourselves as a community. And like our pastor Ken Wood said, let's grant some grace to our police officers, because they are trying, and they're trying to respond, and they're trying to get to those calls, but it's a scary situation out there right now. So if we can all as citizens just do our part, I think it would really help out the police department tremendously. And if there's no other comments or questions, we can move on to the review and the approval of the agenda. We're going to go page by page. Page 1.
Madam President?
Yes.
Staff requests that resolution item M1 be moved to the regular agenda with a staff report.
Okay. Page 2. Page 3. I don't know. Do you have something? Not yet. Okay, page 4. Page 5. Councilor Martinez Ortega.
Madam President, I'd like to continue R3 until the meeting of October 10th.
Okay, and I would also like to once again continue resolution Q2 until August 8th. We are still awaiting the findings of our sample audit.
I would like, it's public knowledge that I'm totally against even the thought of a forensic audit. And I would like to table this indefinitely. And if there's something that's down the line that you think that's happening within the city, you can always reintroduce it. But I'd like to table this completely instead of kicking this down the can.
Well, I don't think kicking it down the can is the problem, as long as we're just waiting for the second part of the sample audit. So
But I don't think there's a connection between our audit and wanting to indicate that there's a need in the city of Pueblo for forensic audit.
there is the funds that are in question. Part of it is in the second audit that we're waiting for.
But that has nothing to do with the conditions of which a forensic audit would be, that's taking it down a different road.
Not really.
Yeah, well, that's my opinion. I don't know. How do we resolve the fact of removing this and kicking the can down the road, or eliminating it by tabling this?
Well, there are two motions, and I haven't heard a second on either. The first motion is to amend the agenda. Continuing, well, as I understand the motion, it's to move M1 to the regular agenda, to continue Q2 to August 8th, to continue R3 to August 8th. And I don't know if there's more to your motion. I think you made the motion, Madam President.
My motion, just a continuance, waiting on the
Oh,
findings
okay.
of the audit.
All right. So then we have another motion made by Counselor Flores to not to continue, but to remove it from the agenda, that is to postpone indefinitely. So we need seconds on both motions. If Counselor Flores has a second, then we vote on that. And then if the original motion has a second, you vote on that.
I'll second President Graham's motion.
Okay.
Mr. Do we need to do the other two, finish the other two pages first?
Yeah, that
Okay.
would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so page 6.
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Solano.
the staff requests a continuance to July the 25th of R7. It is the Food Project Coordinator Staffing Ordinance. It needs to align and pass simultaneously with item N11, and that is the pay scale ordinance. And they both need to go together to the end of the month.
Okay.
Thank you.
And page 7.
I have a question on R3. Is there a reason to move?
Is that the 15,000? I think the idea behind that was just to leave it as is until we get to the end of the year. And if we need to put that money back, put it back. And if not, leave it as is.
Well, originally it was going to come out of council contingencies. This says it's come from the fund balance. So
Originally it was supposed to come out of
General
fund
fund.
balance. Then we changed it to council contingencies, and now Counselor Winter has asked that it be reimbursed.
Right. The original agreement was when you presented it to us that it came out of general fund. And then when it came to voting on it, you had said that you had been advised to make it a resolution because they would get the money sooner. So I'm just asking that those funds are replenished, that contingency funds are replenished by the general fund. That's all I'm asking.
but that's not what this ordinance says. This ordinance says that the 15,000 comes out of the fund balance. No,
Madam
it doesn't
President,
say that.
Councilor Tencio, the ordinance says that the 15,000 would come from the fund balance to reimburse council contingency. And so I have the council contingency balance. The 15,000 did come out of council contingencies on May the 9th, and the current balance in council contingency is 50,000. And so I believe the postponement is a request of Councilor Martinez to hold.
Is there a reason to postpone it?
Yeah. Well, we could muddy up the books now, or we could just pull it directly from, if we actually need the council contingencies come to the beginning of the fourth quarter, we can pull those from the general fund. So we don't.
I'm just going by the original
Found
agreement
money
when we
right
all
now
when we all
until we
sat there and
actually
agreed
need
on
it.
it. I mean, that's a lot of money out of council contingencies.
Yeah. I still don't understand.
Do you want me to repeat it? Can you hear me?
Free until August 8th.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
why? If this solves the problem of, originally, when I asked for the 15,000, it was recommended to me by the mayor to come to take it out of council contingencies. I had asked at that time that's quite a bit of money. Why don't we take it out of fund balance? Since we have such a big balance in there anyway, it wouldn't bother fund balance. So I acquiesced and I said, okay, well then let's, the mayor said that if and when at the end of the year, if we're $15,000 short in council contingencies, we'll make it up then. So I got no problem with that, but.
That's what this is saying.
Madam President, if I might, we have so many items. I think you're going to have to do a roll call on each one, frankly, starting with M1. And that is to remove it from the consent agenda to the regular agenda and have a roll call and then move to the next item, which is Q2. And then move to the next item, which is R3. That's the only way I think we can resolve it.
Are you content with that, Mr. Tencio? I think you're
In
just
other words,
waiting to get his
we would
question
vote on
answered.
R3 at the next council meeting. October 10th?
October 10th. No, October 10th. The beginning of the fourth quarter.
Oh, I'm sorry. R3.
Sorry, 3.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Means
So
that much to you.
do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Well, I don't know who's on first right now, but I'll try my best to make all the amendments. I motion to amend the agenda to pull M1 to the regular agenda and to continue item Q2.
On Mr. Flores's amendment, I'd like to, I'd like to second that one.
Mr. Kagosik, do we need a roll call after each individual item? Because it's
think the
separate.
I think the only ones in dispute now is Q2.
Okay. So
I think Counselor Martinez was on the right track, summarizing that we're going to move M1 to the regular agenda, and we're going to move R3 to October the 8th.
And R7.
And R7 to July 25th. So we can vote on that
Yep.
and then vote on
Q2.
Councilor Flores's motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve. We have a second. Okay, any discussion? Call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
No.
Dennis Flores, Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Maestri,
This isn't Q2, guys.
It's not
Everything.
Q2.
Oh, all right. Let's go back. I thought we were on Q2.
Not yet. Just the regular agenda.
Yeah, the regular agenda as amended, as stated by Councilor Sarah Martinez. And I can repeat that, but if you want, or Councilor Martinez can.
I think we're good. I want to start the
Okay,
roll call vote.
Right.
Start it over.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Flores. Yes. Heather Graham.
Yes.
Regina Maestri,
Yes.
Sarah Martinez,
Yes.
Cynthia Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Okay, great. Now we will vote on Q2, whether we,
We don't, there's a second.
yeah, I think the motion made by Councilor Flores is to continue it, but to remove it from the agenda.
Effectively. Yes.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear. I don't know what we're voting on right now.
So the motion, I'm sorry, I'll speak up, Counselor Winter. The motion is to not to continue Q2, but to remove it from the agenda. Meaning that there'll be no further action unless it's reintroduced.
Okay, great. So we have a motion. Mr. Tencio had a second. Any further discussion? Okay, let's vote on it.
Larry Atencio.
Yes.
Dennis Flores. Heather Graham.
No.
Regina Maestri. Sarah Martinez. Vicente Martinez Ortega.
No.
Lori Winter.
No.
So that will be moved to August 8th then. Okay, and can we have a motion to dispense the minutes?
I make a motion to dispense with the reading and approve the minutes of the regular meeting dated Monday, June 27, 2022 as distributed.
Great, and do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Larry
Atencio.
Yes.
Dennis Flores.
Yes.
Heather Graham.
Yes.
Regina Maestri. Sarah Martinez. Vicente Martinez Ortega.
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Okay, item K, consent agenda. Mr. Clerk.
Item M1 was moved to the regular agenda. Item M2, a resolution awarding a construction contract in the amount of $175,382.50 to Doug Vaughn LLC and setting forth $21,227.20 for contingencies for project number 22-051, Eilers Neighborhood Sidewalk and Curb Ramp, and authorizing purchasing agent to execute same. Item M3, a resolution ratifying an emergency construction contract in the amount of $80,336.30 to Parker Excavating, Inc. and setting forth $10,000 for contingencies for project number 22-055E, emergency repair project for 522 and 530 Skyway at the Pueblo Memorial Airport, and approving the purchasing agent's execution of same. Item M4, a resolution establishing project CI 2210, Public Works Assessment Management Project, transferring funds in the amount of $145,000 from the Public Works operating budget for contract services, transferring funds in the amount of $162,829.21 from project account HUAN01, street resurfacing, approving amendment number 1 to the master subscription agreement in the amount of $144,448.74 between the City of Pueblo, a Colorado Municipal Corporation, and Brightly Software, Inc., a North Carolina corporation, formerly Dude Solutions, Inc., for project number 21-041, Pueblo Street Assessment Project, and authorizing the purchasing agent to execute same. Item M5, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a revocable permit for the temporary use of the public right-of-way on Allen Hamel Avenue between Main Street and Santa Fe Avenue for the annual Neighborhood Safety Night hosted by the Pueblo Police. Item M6, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a revocable permit to the La Gente Youth Sports Inc. for the use of the 1200 block of Juan Madrid Avenue to host the annual St. Anne's softball tournament from July 15, 2022 to July 18, 2022. Item M7, a resolution ratifying PayCog's joint appointment of Robert Barrier to the Pueblo Regional Building Electrical Board of Appeals journeyman. Item M8, a resolution conforming the appointments by the mayor of Elizabeth Chapman and Carmen Lutgier to the Liquor and Beer Licensing Board. Ordinance's first presentation. Item number N1, an ordinance budgeting and appropriating funds from the 1992 to 2026 Sales and Use Tax Capital Improvement Projects Fund in the amount of $145,000 to the general fund to reimburse the general fund for contractual payments made to Tatiana Bailey, PhD, doing business as Peak Analytics Consulting to develop a Pueblo monthly economic dashboard. Item N2, an ordinance amending zoning restrictions to rezone 0.34 acres located at 520 West 13th Street from R5 Mixed Residential and Office District to B2 Subregional Business District. Item N3, an ordinance amending zoning restrictions to rezone lots 22, Block 3, Sunset Park, 6th filing, totaling 0.85 acres from R5 Multiple Residential and Office District to R6 Multiple Residential and Commercial District. Item N4, an ordinance vacating a portion of the platted alley right-of-way located within Block 362 Wiley and Chamberlain subdivision. Item N5, an ordinance approving and accepting a grant agreement and applicable conditions pertaining thereto with the State of Colorado Department of Law Peace Officers Standard and Training, establishing project number PS 2206, budgeting and appropriating funds into project PS 2206, authorizing the mayor to execute same and ratifying his prior signature thereto. Item N6, an ordinance approving and accepting a grant funding agreement and all applicable conditions pertaining thereto from the Colorado Auto Theft Prevention Authority relating to the Beat Auto Theft through Law Enforcement Team, establishing project number PS 2207, budgeting and appropriating funds to project PS 2207 and authorizing the mayor to execute same. Item N7, an ordinance calling a special municipal election to be held on November 8th, 2022, directing that special municipal election be conducted as part of a coordinated election, adopting for use at the special municipal election the requirements and procedures of the Uniform Election Code of 1992, except to the extent that the Uniform Election Code of 1992 conflicts with specific provisions of the Charter of the City of Pueblo and suspending for such purposes the Pueblo Election Code and all ordinances and resolutions of the city in conflict therewith. Item N8, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Pueblo, a municipal corporation, and the County of Pueblo, a political subdivision of the state of Colorado, relating to the 2022 special municipal election. Item N9, an ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for conveyance of real property between the City of Pueblo, a Colorado municipal corporation as buyer, and NeighborWorks Southern Colorado Inc., a Colorado nonprofit corporation as seller, relating to the location of Fire Station number 11 in the Pikes Peak Park subdivision. Item number N10, an ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to execute a paid intern site agreement between the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System, acting by and through the Colorado State University, Pueblo, and the city of Pueblo, a Colorado municipal corporation. Item N11, an ordinance amending section 6-5-16 of chapter 5 of title 6 of the Pueblo Municipal Code relating to the fiscal year 2022 classification and pay plan by establishing the pay scale for the food project coordinator.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve all resolutions set forth in the consent agenda, pass the ordinances of the consent agenda, setting the public hearings for Monday, July 25th, 2022, and order the ordinances to be published by title.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores, Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastry, Sarah Martinez,
Yes.
Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, regular agenda resolutions. M1.
Resolutions M1, a resolution awarding a construction contract in the amount of $44,324 to Colorado States Roofing and Insulating Company, Inc., and setting forth $10,000 for contingencies for project number 22-050 Parks Maintenance Office Roof, and authorizing the purchasing agent to execute same.
May we have a staff report?
Good evening, Madam President and members of council. The resolution before you contains an error, but I'm going to brief what the project is and then ask for you to amend the resolution. That's why it's been moved to the regular agenda. Essentially, this is a resolution to award a contract ultimately to Central States Roofing and Insulating Company. The resolution has an error, again, as I mentioned, that it is currently written as Colorado States Roofing and Insulating Company, Incorporated. So the project is to repair the roof on the parks maintenance facility out at City Park. But the resolution, again, has an error in the business name only. Everything else that's in the resolution is correct. But we need to correct this administrative issue as part of this action tonight. That concludes my staff report. I'll take any questions you may have.
Okay, great. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Motion to the amended from
Ask for an
Colorado
amendment.
to Central.
From Colorado States Roofing and Insulating Company, Incorporated to Central States Roofing and Insulating Company, Incorporated.
A motion to approve.
Motion to approve with the amendments.
You have to say it.
Colorado.
Colorado States Roofing and Insulating Company is the incorrect name. It needs to be amended to Central States Roofing and Insulating Company.
I make a motion to amend the agenda from Colorado States Roofing Company to Central States Roofing Company.
Great. Does that suffice? Okay, second. Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores.
Yes.
Heather Graham.
Yes.
Regina Mastry,
Yes.
Sarah Martinez. Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Q1.
Item Q1, a resolution awarding an agreement for professional design services in the amount of $1,209,246 to All Red and Associates, a Colorado corporation, for design and engineering of new fire stations 6, 8, and 11, project number CI 2205, and authorizing the purchasing agent to execute same.
May we have a staff report?
Madam President, members of council, the resolution before you contains no errors. It is simply a resolution to award the design contract for the 3 fire stations to Allred and Associates. Again, this contract will result in the preparation of the bid package, material cost estimates, and everything we need to be able to put the construction contract solicitation out for bid whenever this work is completed. That concludes my report, and I'll take any questions you have.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Flores?
Are the three fire stations all the same, or are they going to be designed different?
So these three fire stations are similar in floor plan, design, and layout. They are all site adapted, so each one of them has different utilities and connections and whatnot. The site conditions are a little bit different at each site, but again, we're talking about a site up on Jerry Murphy Road, north of Highway 47, a site on the east side of town, just off of 4th Street a little bit, and then a new fire station site that will be out on 24th Street.
So we're really looking at about 400,000 per station.
That's correct.
Approximately.
That's correct.
Do you know the square footage of these buildings?
I apologize. I don't have it off the top of my head. I can get that for you. Ultimately, we're talking about a fire station that's likely to be between 5 to 7 million in construction, and design fees of $400,000 are pretty reasonable for a construction project of that magnitude.
I wanted to put it in perspective.
Yes, sir.
It does seem reasonable. Thank you.
Counselor Atencio?
These designs will be designed to net zero in terms of energy efficiency, correct?
That's correct. So in the scope of work for the design, we have asked for the design firm to include net zero design features, essentially making these projects carbon neutral. So they will not require carbon or generate carbon as a result of their energy emissions.
Any other discussion? Counselor Martinez? Oh, Counselor Weiner, sorry.
No, that's okay. So Andrew, I have a question just about supplies. I mean, I know there's an issue with receiving breakers and garage doors, cabinets, windows, and even solar panels. I hear that Excel is having an issue getting solar panels in. So I just wondered how, with this recession, how do you think that's going to, I guess you don't really have an answer to that, but I mean, when you can't get essential products like that, what's going to happen?
So there's no doubt supply chain issues around the world right now.
Right.
But we are in the process of actually doing the design work. And so some of those things where there are known design issues or requirements for long lead items that are going to take a while, we can start working those issues during this design phase as we're putting the concept to paper. When we get to the construction piece of that, that's also going to be part of the burden of being the contractor that's going to actually do the construction. They're certainly going to be responsible for the logistics of finding those items and constructing the project. And so those are factors we're going to take into consideration as we develop schedule and cost estimates for the actual construction work itself.
And just to kind of throw this in, with all the development that we have going on now, I know a lot of those, I know this is off subject, but I've got you in front of me here. A lot of the builders, a lot of what's going on right now are pre-built and pre-built paid with pre-built funds. So again, how are the builders going to finish these? And I mean, how are the builders going to make any money with supplies doubling and not being able to get these supplies like garage doors and windows and breakers?
So I don't have any specific examples of projects right now for us, for instance, that are running into unavailability of materials or supplies that are stopping a project. Oftentimes there are workarounds. But I can't speak to this particular item because it's obviously something that's going to be done in probably 2023 or
No,
later.
I mean, I just mean builders in general.
I can't speak to the specifics, I guess.
Are they, are a lot of these new developments, are they, do they have any completed homes yet? Or is it just moving dirt, or do you know?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question.
Oh, sorry. A lot of these developments that we currently have going, are there any completed homes, or are they just moving dirt, or what's going on out there?
You're referring to current buildings?
Yeah, builders.
So I know that there are several places where there are active building permits that are where construction's underway. As you alluded to, though, I mean, I know that they're facing limited supplies, in some cases windows or garage doors, as you're saying. I don't think it's stopping construction. I think they're just working to find alternative sources. sometimes that certainly impacts cost and other things, but it's.
Right. That's why I was wondering with pre-built, when
Yeah.
you buy something pre-built, you know, you're kind of locked into a certain price, but there's always a clause where if it costs more, then, you know, the builder has some wiggle room there. And then by that time, the person may not be able to even qualify for that loan anymore. If the supplies are doubling. I just wondered, it's definitely a conversation that's going on out there right now.
Counselor Flores.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we're getting back to fire stations.
I don't think your mic's on, Dennis.
I said we're we're off topic here, but getting back to the 3 fire stations, the city requires that we have a payment performance bond on all three of these buildings. So any kind of issue with the contractor not being able to supply the equipment or going bankrupt or whatever, we're guaranteed through a performance bond that project will get completed.
That is
There's
correct.
very little exposure to the city here.
That's correct. It may result in some schedule delays or other things, but it's from a performance perspective, we do have protection on that front.
Okay, great. Let's call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores,
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastry,
Yes.
Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, R1.
Item R1, public hearing, an ordinance approving an agreement between the City of Pueblo, a Colorado Municipal Corporation, and the Pueblo Development Foundation, a Colorado nonprofit corporation, relating to a job-creating capital improvement project, authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement and transferring $8,500,000 from the 1992 to 2026 Sales and Use Tax Capital Improvement Projects Fund for purposes thereof, introduced June 27th, 2022 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega.
May we have a staff?
Madam President, members of council, under this ordinance, the city will transfer $8.5 million in half-cent economic development funds to the Pueblo Development Foundation to construct a shell building at the Airport Industrial Park. The building will be approximately 70,000 square feet. After construction of the building, PDF will convey title back to the city for future economic development. And that is staff's report.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion second.
Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores, Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastry, Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
No.
Passes 5-2. R2.
Item R2, public hearing. An ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to sign a subrecipient agreement between the City of Pueblo, a Colorado Municipal Corporation, and the Board of Waterworks of Pueblo, Colorado, as authorized by Section 603 of the American Rescue Plan Act and the U.S. Treasury Final Rule 31 CFR 35.6, and authorizing the payment of $127,500 from project number CI 2113 American Rescue Plan Act for purposes thereof, introduced June 27, 2022 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega.
May we have a staff report?
Madam President, members of council, this ordinance approves a water infrastructure project authorized by the American Rescue Plan Act. ARPA funds in the amount of $127,500 will be paid to the Board of Waterworks. The Water Board intends to remove the South Side Diversion Dam. Whether they remove it entirely or alter its configuration will be based on the study that they do. These funds will be part of that study. They'll construct a scaled physical model. They'll prepare design documents and finally put together a design, build, construction package to be bid out. And that is staff's report.
This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Counselor Flores?
I just wanted for the record to show that this has been, it's very appropriate talking about the amount of drownings that we've had out at the lake, that this is a very dangerous area within the Arkansas River, in which over the past years with people that go tubing down there or swimming have been, that have drowned as a result. So it's a very dangerous area. And I think this is imperative that we try to do something to alleviate that hazard. And several of us were at the presentation, and they've got a great plan going forward. And I think it's something worthy that we move on and do this evening. So I'm going to be voting for it.
Anybody else? Okay, call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores.
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastry,
Yes.
Sarah Martinez. Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes. Do we know if they have that posted a danger sign up there posted in Spanish or not?
Counselor Martinez is shaking her head yes, and I believe we do have a sign up there.
Yeah, Counselor Winter, I actually just walked my dog in that area and I purposely looked out for it. And
Good.
there is, it's like a peligroso sign and it's
Oh, good.
yeah, it's there.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, passes 7-0. R4.
Item R4, public hearing, an ordinance approving and adopting the City of Pueblo's 2022-2023 action plan for the Community Development Block Grant and the Home Fund Investment Partnership Act grant, authorizing the mayor of the City of Pueblo to submit the application together with all required and necessary certifications, assurances, and documentation to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development and appropriating and budgeting CDBG and home funds, therefore introduced June 27th, 2022 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega.
May we have a staff report?
Good evening, President Graham, members of council. This ordinance adopts the 2022 annual action plan and authorizes the mayor to submit application for funding to HUD for $1,459,303 in CDBG funding. And it also authorizes the mayor to submit on behalf of the Pueblo Consortium application for home funding in the amount of $979,677. The home allocation is the largest the city has ever received, or at least ever in my memory. How's that? And as such, the home grant requires a 25% match. Because our allocation was larger than anticipated, this ordinance requests $61,547 from the general fund to equal the 25% match that is required for the grant. Council previously through the annual budget adopted $135,000. So the total match would be about 196,000 and some change. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores,
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastery, Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. R5.
Item R5, public hearing, an ordinance authorizing assignment of a private activity bond allocation from the city of Pueblo to the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority pursuant to the Colorado Private Activity Bond Ceiling Allocation Act, introduced June 27, 2022 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega.
May we have a staff report?
Yes, this ordinance authorizes the mayor to assign our private activity bond allocation to CHAFA for the use of multifamily projects within the next 12 months occurring in Pueblo County. If no projects are eligible at that time, it will convert to single-family mortgage capital. And it will be available to individual buyers who choose to use the CHAFA mortgage product. And that concludes the report.
This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. And do we have any discussion? Okay. Counselor Maestri?
So are either one of these ordinances is what's going to cover the Crawford Town? Was it
Compass Point.
the Compass Point?
The Compass Point project that you heard during work session would seek to access private activity dollars, which this is assigning for that purpose.
Mhm.
We're not specifically assigning it to that developer.
Correct, but this is
until
where they can get it from.
This is how they get their money. And with those projects, they need to have 55% of the total project needs to come from private activity bond dollars. So in addition to our bonds, the county bonds, and available at the state, they will put that deal together that way.
Thank you.
Call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores.
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastery,
Yes.
Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. R6.
Item R6, public hearing, an ordinance approving an affordable housing development agreement and related documents between Crawford Townhomes LLLP, a Colorado limited liability limited partnership, the Housing Authority of the City of Pueblo, a public body corporate and politic, and the City of Pueblo, a municipal corporation, and authorizing the mayor to execute same. Introduced June 27, 2022 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega.
May we have a staff report?
Yes, this project will utilize $500,000 worth of home funds, and it will fund the Housing Authority's third phase of their project to replace the Santa Cristo apartments. They've formed a nonprofit or a limited liability partnership, LLLP, with their tax investors to create this project. $12.3 million of tax credit capital will be used to create this project. The city's portion, we're the second or third smallest funder in this project, The 500,000 will go to construct 5 home assisted units. So we will have regulations and stipulations on 5 of the 49 units. And that will fund one bedroom, two bedrooms, a third 3-bedroom, and a 4-bedroom. All units are geared to assist families making less than 50% AMI. The city will hold a 20-year mortgage against the property. The housing authority will pay a minimum of $500 a year during those 20 years. And at that point, whatever remaining balance they have not paid will become due. And that concludes the report.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve? Do
Motion to approve.
I have a second? Any discussion? Councilor Martinez?
Brian, the Crawford Homes is the development that's off of the boulevard. Is that correct?
No, this is off of Prairie near the cemetery.
But this, okay. And how is this different from the Sangre Cristo apartments?
They're destroying that to create this.
Okay, so now they'll be formally known as Crawford Townhomes.
I assume so.
Okay.
They name them differently so that they can differentiate who's investing in which section.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores,
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastery, Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. R8.
Item R8, public hearing, an ordinance amending 17-4-7 of Chapter 4 of Title 17 of the Pueblo Municipal Code relating to landscape performance standards, introduced June 27, 2022 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 on June 8, 2022 to recommend approval.
May we have a staff report?
Yes, good evening, Madam President, council members. The Planning and Community Development Department is requesting approval to remove a requirement from the current landscape performance standards, which states that any addition to a non-single family residential structure larger than 1,000 square feet triggers all landscaping requirements. The Planning Department is also proposing to include a 2-family or duplex as an exception to the landscape performance standards. That's consistent with the code that was just adopted for multifamily residential, which excludes single family and duplexes from the multifamily code. The current standards require that an addition of 1,000 square feet or larger to a commercial property that's outlined in the landscape code is triggering full landscaping requirements. These requirements include parking lot landscape islands, parking lot screening, buffering, tree lawns, and landscape setbacks. These additional landscape requirements are a financial burden and have been proven to be a detriment to development of existing commercial properties. An example that I'd like to bring out is that in some cases where there's an addition of a little over 1,000 square feet to a commercial building, if they have to bring their property into full compliance with the landscape code, the actual cost to bring up the landscaping could be 2 to 3 times more than the addition, the 1,000 square foot addition that they're going to be adding to the commercial building. This doesn't completely exclude them for major additions from being where they have to follow the landscape code. If they add 35% or more to a structure, then the landscape code would be triggered for them to bring their property into compliance. But the essentially brings them into the, to be consistent with the current small scale and large scale development performance standards where the 35% triggers full landscaping, but it excludes that if they're doing additions that are below that 35% threshold. That concludes my report. Staff requests that all documents pertaining to the Planning and Zoning Commission case number TA 2104 dated June 8, 2022 be made part of the record of this hearing.
So ordered. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Maestri?
Just to understand, Mr. Hobson, are you removing all requirements or is there still a minimum, some sort of minimum requirement?
For additions that are under 35%, we're not requiring any upgrade to landscape in regard to those types of projects. If they exceed the 35% addition to a building, then the full landscaping will be.
So they wouldn't be required to re-landscape around the addition either? At least?
Currently, the way this is worded, they would not have to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Counselor Martinez?
Mr. Hobson, I think, I think it would be helpful maybe to better understand the specific example of why this ordinance came about. Can you share with the rest of the counselors?
Well, we've had a couple situations where we've had residential care centers that have done minor additions of just over 1,000 square feet. Those business operations have been operating prior to the time of the landscape code. And the parking lot does not have parking island landscaping. And they don't have any buffer type of landscaping. And to require them to install the full landscape code into these structures was actually more than the cost of the addition that they were proposing to put in.
Counselor Tencio?
Yeah, I'm glad to see that it's being pulled back a little bit because when we brought up that landscaping ordinance in the first place, not only was it cumbersome, but it was detrimental to development. Didn't matter what, requiring landscaped islands in the parking lot and a bunch of other stuff that was in that ordinance was ridiculous. Number one, a commercial developer, if they're going to build something and expect the public to come in and do business with them, they would landscape it the way they saw fit, not the way we saw them see fit. So I'm glad to see it being peeled back a little bit.
So let me make this clear that if somebody is coming in with a new development, they have to comply full landscaping requirements that we have in place. This pertains to existing developments and especially businesses that have been in Pueblo for a long time that want to do an addition. They were constructed and operated prior to the time the landscape code was adopted. And so this gives them a break from having to bring their full site into compliance with landscaping unless they're adding more than 35%.
Well, my point now and my point was that the requirements by government to make them landscape their property the way government wants them to landscape it was a ridiculous concept in the first place. I don't see where a builder or a developer is going to leave their parking lots completely barren without any kind of landscaping around the buildings whatsoever. So I still think that it's cumbersome and we shouldn't be doing it, but that's just me.
Okay, call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores,
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastry, Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. R9.
Item R9, public hearing, an ordinance amending sections 6 and 15 of chapter 10 of title 17 of the Pueblo Municipal Code relating to high-rise sign district number 3, introduced June 27, 22 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 on June 8th to recommend approval.
May we have a staff report?
Yes, Madam President. Under the existing sign code, properties fronting I-25 West Pueblo Boulevard and Gateway Drive, north and west of Interstate 25 are in a special sign district. This is the high-rise sign district. And they're allowed to install 75-foot pole freestanding signs with a maximum square footage of 300 square foot per sign. These properties are also allowed an additional low-profile sign if they are on a through lot or have an arterial street right-of-way adjacent to the rear property line. The proposed ordinance revises the sign code by including commercial and industrial properties adjacent to the east side of I-25 in the special sign district number 3. And we should have maps that kind of show where we would be expanding this sign district. If Tammy can bring that up. So this is the proposed change to the sign district, which would extend the high-rise district along the east side of I-25 and then so this is the proposed change, and this is the existing District 3 where high-rise signs are allowed along the west side. And this is generated by potential of commercial development that's currently we're doing commercial reviews on those properties, and they have an interest in having some high-rise signs that would be just on the opposite side of the highway from what's currently allowed in the district. That concludes my report. Staff requests that all documents pertaining to Planning and Zoning Commission case number TA 2202 dated June 8, 2022 be made part of the record of this hearing.
So ordered. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the ordinance on final presentation.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores.
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Maestri, Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winner.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. R10.
Item R10, public hearing, an ordinance approving a fixed space operator ground lease and operating agreement between the City of Pueblo, a municipal corporation, and Freeman Holdings of Colorado LLC, a limited liability corporation, rescinding all previous agreements with Rocky Mountain FBO LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute same. Introduced June 27, 2022 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega.
May we have a staff report?
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President, councilors. This ordinance approves the ground lease and operating agreement with Freeman Holdings Group, Colorado, to provide aviation-related services at Pueblo Airport. This is a revised lease reassignment from Rocky Mountain FBO to Freeman Holdings. The team at Rocky Mountain Flower have been great partners at our airport for over 50 years. Transitioning this business to Freeman Holdings sets us up for another great opportunity to advance our vision for the airport's future. With me tonight is Scott Freeman and a couple of gentlemen from Freeman Holdings. We're available for any questions. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. How long was Flower Aviation out there beforehand?
So in different iterations, Rocky and his wife, Jamie DiVincenti, have been providing aviation services for over 50 years at the airport.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell those folks, thank you for holding that space down and providing that service for the private jets to come in, fuel some of the smaller planes. I used to work out at the airport on the commercial side. And, I think that the airport would be in trouble if we lost that private aviation service. So thank you to the DiVincentis. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Counselor Tizio?
Yeah, could we bring up our new tenants and give us an idea of what you have in store for us?
So good evening. My name is Scott Freeman. I'm the CEO of Freeman Holdings Group. We privately held family company. We operate 22 FBOs across the country. So we go from New York all the way to Hawaii. So we've been at it about 45, 50 years. Father started it. I've been running it now for close to 20 years. So we have a pretty good sized network. We do a lot with the military. As you know, there's a lot of military traffic out here. So we have the ability to push some of that traffic out here through our network. And we understand the importance of the airport being the front doorstep to the community, as it is at every city we're at. So we're excited about it. We appreciate any support you'll give us and look forward to a long, successful relationship with you guys.
Will you be continuing basically the same kind of service or expanding it?
Same. Am I on or off? Yeah. Okay. Same similar services. We believe we'll grow it. We're confident we'll grow it. We've gone into a lot of former military bases, trainer bases, or SAC bases, that kind of stuff. And so we've had a lot of success on taking those smaller airports and growing gallons there. So we feel confident we can do that here.
Well,
by the way, the DiVincentis did a great job, but so it's a tough act to follow, but we feel confident we can, through our network, we can push some traffic to this area.
Welcome.
Well, thank you.
That
Appreciate
is
it.
part of my district. So if you need any help, let me know.
Appreciate it. Look forward to working with you guys. Thank you.
And I hope you continue the legacy of their fresh baked cookies.
That's a certainty. Well, that'll happen. No problem. And the ice cream and the hot dogs, all that will stay. None of that's changing.
Okay. Counselor Forrest?
Yeah, could you expand on your relationship with the military? Is that another sector to your business? And how do you expect to capitalize on that?
So we have DLA, Defense Logistics Agency contracts, which are military contracts at each one of our locations. That's primarily where we started, was providing service to the military. And then we expanded beyond that to commercial and corporate traffic. And so we hit all the major military conventions, Tailhook, Quad A. There's a number of them where the training communities for various flight wings go and attend. And so we'll go there. We go there anyway. We'll go there. We'll start pushing Pueblo as another alternate. We've got a location in Topeka, Kansas, for example, catch a lot of cross-country traffic that's going across the United States that'll drop in there and put on fuel. We feel like we can push a lot of traffic to this as well. So we've been a DLA contractor for 40 something years.
Great. Well, thank you and welcome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores,
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Mastery,
Yes.
Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. R11.
Item R11, public hearing, an ordinance approving and authorizing the memorandum of understanding between the City of Pueblo, a municipal corporation, and Rocky Mountain SER Jobs for Progress Inc. regarding the food projects entrepreneurial startup program and authorizing the mayor to execute same. Introduced June 27, 2022 by Councilor Vicente Martinez Ortega.
May we have a staff report?
Madam President, City Council, I think you guys are pretty familiar with me now, but I'm Megan. I'm the program manager for the Pueblo Food Project. Today, we are asking for the approval of a rent agreement in the amount of $7,800 with Rocky Mountain SER Empowerment Center for the rental of a classroom that serves as a meeting space and a classroom space, of course, and for storage. Over the past 6 months, we have been renting this space and would like to extend our stay. Rocky Mountain Service, Employment, and Redevelopment Jobs for Progress, Inc. is a community-based organization that has been providing early childhood, workforce, and community development throughout the state of Colorado for the last 39 years. RMSCR was first incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit in 1980 and began its migrant and seasonal farm workers service program through the U.S. Department of Labor in 1981. RMSCR's workforce development programs have helped prepare many people for job offerings and higher wages, and they've moved from that into Head Start programs and now into empowerment centers, which is why we're a part of what they're doing. This classroom has been particularly helpful to PFP so far. We've used it for a few different reasons. We held our 2022 an entrepreneur development program in this classroom. We also held a boot camp for members and community members interested in learning about food policy. We've held numerous meetings and even used the space for studying or testing for entrepreneurs or for people in the food project interested in gaining a sort of certification. Other than that, this place also holds a space for storage for us. I love my office upstairs, but we don't quite have enough space for all of the stuff that we need. We hold extra food, chairs, potting soil, promotional materials, and all kinds of stuff. We just don't have quite enough space upstairs. So that also helps with that. And as we are a part of the building and using the space, we are able to get a discount using the kitchen that they have for cooking classes, which will now be held 1 to 2 times every month. We started these last month. So we'll have cooking classes there, and it helps us get a little bit of a discount to use that space as well. We've been really satisfied with the space and with Rocky Mountain SARE. We wish to extend our stay for another year. So this will be a June to June agreement, I guess July to July now, since we're into July. As a PFP meeting space, the 7,800 will come out of the Pueblo Food Project CI 2014 budget. That is our Colorado Health Foundation awarded grant. And I can take questions.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just have a question, Megan, on how are folks going to find out about these food cooking classes, or if you can let us know when to announce them for folks to take advantage of?
So far, the way that we've been recruiting people for cooking classes is, so the first couple we had kind of pilot run ones, we ran pilot cooking classes. We had a list from Cooking Matters, which reaches out specifically to communities that need it to learn how to cook. We use that list and then we put it on social media. Now we have a pretty big list of community members to send it to, from a list from D60 to the Cooking Matters one to the ones who've previously gone to cooking classes. For the most part, we like to distribute it to those families first. And then if we end up needing extra spaces, then we'll push it out on social media. But we also want people to come to these classes over and over again, so they're learning more and more skills. And receiving more and more aid in that sense. So we have done a little bit of social media, but mostly we have a specific distribution list to hit a target audience.
Great, thank you. And the Cooking Matters program is phenomenal. So thank you for putting that or getting those resources connected to each other.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I have a question.
Winner?
Yeah, I'm for extending this lease, but there's been quite a bit of talk in the community, and I've received some phone calls regarding ARPA money or ARPA funds that were used for folks with food insecurities, that jellies and things like that were purchased from the entrepreneurs that you're involved with for like $30 a bottle or something. Can you tell me anything about that, if that's true or what's going on with that?
I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but we do have, we do buy from entrepreneurs, but I've never spent that much on jam or jelly. But we buy local to put food into our pantry, but our pantry serves more like a food bank per se. So
Mhm.
hunger relief organizations around town put in a free order to us to get local food from our pantry. So that does include jams or jellies, beef, chorizo, green chili, and they're all locally sourced.
Mhm.
Things that are a little bit harder for people to get from, say, Care and Share or buy on their own. That was like what we tried to do. I did buy jam a couple months ago, but it was a reasonable price, and we had a focus from the grant specifically to buy local.
Mhm. How much were they, when you say reasonable, what is that number?
I mean, I would have to go back and check, but it was like $5 or $4 a bottle. I think we bought by the case actually, so I think it was $30 a case for 12 or something.
Okay, okay.
I think Ms. Solano has a little bit more information on the.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. And Councilor Winter, and no ARPA funds have purchased hunger relief items. There were specific hunger relief grants, probably 2 or 3 from the Trailhead Institute that have been approved by City Council throughout the COVID pandemic. There were funds used from the Coronavirus Relief Fund through the CARES Act that did come through and were distributed in the area of hunger relief. And that detail we have a record of that we can share easily. But right now we are on the downside of the pantry, and the pantry actually provided food not to direct aid, but to the individual organizations in the city that actually provided food on a regular basis. So Rescue Mission, Soup Kitchen, Posada, 3 or 4 or 7 more that are not at my fingertips, but no ARPA funds.
Okay, so when you say that you have those numbers available or itemized figures, can you send those to me, or I would
Yes,
just like
and
to
I
be
would
able
like
to answer these questions that I
Yes,
get.
I'd like to confirm first that they are in the notebook that was presented to all of you with respect to the detailed coronavirus relief. And I'll go through with Megan, who was not on board at the time, because these were CARES Act dollars, and to confirm which items were food related for pantry items.
Okay, great. It'd just be nice to kind of correct those rumors if possible. That I would appreciate that.
And sorry about that, but the last set of funds that we used was from the Colorado Blueprint and Hunger and the Trailhead Institute, which is their fiscal sponsor. And that was the only money that I've spent on the pantry. Before it would have been someone else, but no ARPA funds were spent, just the
CARES
COVID relief. And,
were there like expensive steaks and that kind of thing going on as well, or anything like that? Okay.
No, it's all 1 pound. All of the meat is in 1 pound packages. The green chili is in like I think 2 pound like packages, single packages of tortillas, single like things of jam, but people are also able to get by the case. So
okay, all right.
I
All right,
think,
thanks for
what you're looking for is the coronavirus relief funds, and there
the
are
CARES,
there are some big numbers on that. I specifically looked up one that was an expenditure of $8,000 for JoJo's Sriracha. I'm not sure how many jars of JoJo's Sriracha we bought for $8,000, but there was.
Can we get an invoice on that, or?
I think Solano's going to get all that together for you.
Great.
The
Okay.
NOPA contains expenditures, and you'll have to look at that for the actual invoice, but 100% of it is backed up in our grants office with invoices behind each expenditure. So anyone that you'd like to see, if you look at the notebook first, then you tell me which ones you'd like, and we'll get the invoice forwarded to you.
Okay. All right. I would just like to know and to be able to say the correct thing when I'm faced with these questions.
Yes, and it was an important part of the Blueprint grants that these purchases were locally sourced. So it was helping not only provide hunger relief, but helping small businesses along the way as well, who were producers and packagers. And we are coming down to the last of the pantry opportunity here with Megan. We probably will wind up by August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Megan is also scheduled on next Monday's work session for a full update of the Public Food Project.
Okay, right on.
And the pantry is really cool. So for those of you that have not checked it out yet, I encourage you to go check it out. They have a lot of great stuff, and it's helping a lot of great people. Okay, call for the vote.
Larry Atencio.
Yes.
Enos Flores.
Yes.
Heather Graham.
Yes.
Regina Maestri. Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Item S, emergency ordinances.
Emergency. Emergency ordinance, item S1, public hearing. An emergency ordinance approving and accepting a grant from the Colorado Department of Local Affairs for State's Pools Special Initiative Program, authorizing the mayor to execute same, establishing project CI 2211, budgeting and appropriating funds in the amount of $25,000 to said project number CI 2211.
May we have a staff report?
Yes, you may. Good evening, President Graham, members of council. This is an emergency grant in order to receive and accept $25,000 from the state's Pool Specialty Initiative Program that gives us $25,000 to incentivize our pool attendants, lifeguards and such, and keeping them there longer, maybe work longer hours, longer into the season. We usually close 3 of our pools a couple of weeks before Labor Day. We're going to look at trying to keep some of those open if we got the staff to do that. This $25,000 will help go a long way in incentivizing some of those attendants to stay on work. And so it was a quick grant. It came from the governor. We found out about it around the 21st of June. Applications are due the next week on the 24th. They awarded to us on the 30th, and here we are having to turn this into a ordinance accepting the funds. And so we've got to get this money spent by, the time the pool is closed. So that's why you're hearing it as an emergency. That's my
Thank you.
report.
This is a public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Seeing none, any discussion? Or may I have a motion to approve this emergency ordinance?
Motion to approve.
Any discussion?
Yes. I would just like to clarify, does this constitute an emergency?
It's a matter of public safety.
So we
You're
plan to
talking
pull-
about paying lifeguards
Mhm.
to stay on the job.
So we plan to pool a summer without having those funds in place or a plan in place for that safety to continue even without this grant?
Oh, your mic's not on.
I'm sorry. It's allowing us to work longer into the year, longer into the evening and maybe start earlier during the day. So it's allows us to expand our hours for the public.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just wondering if it constitutes an emergency ordinance. Because if we went through the standard procedure, you'd still get it before the end of the season.
But we couldn't
The
spend any of
budget.
those funds until it was approved. So this gives us a couple of weeks in order to start spending those funds, in order to spend all the funds by Labor Day. We needed that.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to give kudos to Parks and Rec because I read that this was the only city that received the full $25,000 grant. Is that correct?
That's what I heard too. So,
Yeah. Okay, kudos.
Good job.
Any other discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Larry Atencio,
Yes.
Dennis Flores.
Yes.
Heather Graham,
Yes.
Regina Maestri,
Yes.
Sarah Martinez, Vicente Martinez Ortega,
Yes.
Lori Winter.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. If there's no further business from anybody, I will adjourn this meeting at 9:07.